Imagine standing outside the thickest stone walls on Earth with a tiny army, while 100,000 defenders laugh at you from above. Most conquerors in 1219 would panic or launch a suicide charge. Genghis Khan simply pulled out a wooden counting board, checked the weather, and calculated the exact angle needed to fling dead horses over a 70-foot wall. He did not defeat the massive Khwarezmian Empire with magic or superior iron. He defeated them using middle school multiplication, base 10 organization, and psychological probability. Before the sun set, the enemy city surrendered without Genghis firing a single arrow himself. But to understand how an illiterate nomad turned the globe into his personal spreadsheet, we have to rewind to his childhood in the Mongolian steppe. Back in the late 12th century, the steppe was absolute chaos. Rival tribes fought constantly, betraying each other based on bloodlines and vague promises. Young Temujin realized a fatal flaw in ancient warfare. Kings built armies based on royal favors and family ties, which meant nobody actually knew who was in charge during a battle. Temujin looked at this messy tribal system and decided to replace bloody tradition with clean mathematics. He scrapped bloodlines entirely and reorganized every single human being under his command into a strict base 10 system. Here is how the magic formula worked. 10 soldiers formed an arban, led by one elected leader. 10 arbans made a zun of 100 men. 10 zuns created a miangan of 1,000, and 10 miangans formed a tumen of 10,000 warriors. If a leader needed to send orders to 80,000 people across 3 mountain ranges, he did not shout or send dozens of chaotic runners. He spoke to 8 tumen commanders, who spoke to their sub-commanders, who spoke to the squad leaders. In less than 20 minutes, an order moved through an entire army like lightning. It was the world-first real-time human network protocol. Math also solved the single biggest nightmare of ancient armies, which was food. European knights traveled with massive, slow wooden wagons that required enormous amounts of grain just to feed the oxen pulling them. Genghis calculated a precise horse-to-rider ratio that changed history. Every Mongol warrior traveled with up to 5 horses. By rotating mounts constantly, the horses never got exhausted, and the army did not need supply wagons at all. The warriors drank fermented mare milk, ate dried meat curd, and lived off the land. This simple ratio allowed Mongol armies to move 60 miles a day, which was 3 times faster than any opponent on the planet. If you faced a Mongol army in battle, you were not just fighting soldiers, you were fighting applied geometry. One of their favorite tricks was the feigned retreat. A small group of Mongols would attack, pretend to panic, and run away. Excited enemies would break their defensive formations and chase them for miles. But this was not random running. Mongol scouts had already measured the terrain, calculating the exact distance required to completely exhaust the enemy horses. Once the chasing army was tired, stretched out and out of breath, the retreating Mongols would turn around, join hidden reserve units, and encircle the trapped enemy from every angle. When the Mongols reached giant walled cities in China and Persia, they hit a major problem. Steppe nomads did not know how to build catapults or dig siege trenches. Instead of giving up, Genghis treated human talent like an equation. Whenever he conquered a territory, he conducted a detailed census of every citizen. Farmers were assigned to transport supplies, while architects, blacksmiths, and engineers were drafted into specialized labor units. Soon, Chinese catapult experts were working side by side with Persian explosive specialists. When the Mongols arrived at a target city, they built custom siege weapons on site within days, using local timber and precise mathematical trajectories to shatter stone walls. Now, Genghis actually preferred trade over war because trade generated predictable, taxable wealth. In 1219, he sent a massive peaceful trade caravan of 500 camels to the rich Khwarezmian Empire in modern-day Uzbekistan. But the local governor assumed the traders were spies, executed them, and stole their goods. Genghis sent peaceful ambassadors to request an apology, but the arrogant Shah shaved their heads and killed the lead diplomat. This was the single worst mistake in ancient history. The Shah thought his massive army of 400,000 men made him untouchable. What he did not realize was that he had just challenged history, greatest mathematical mind, to a game of total elimination. Genghis did not launch a simple head-on attack against the Shah's huge forces. Instead, He divided his army into 3 separate columns, coordinating their movements across thousands of miles of icy mountains and scorching deserts. One column marched right through the treacherous Kizokum Desert, a path everyone considered mathematically impossible. They appeared out of nowhere behind enemy lines at Samarkand, completely surprising the Shah-divided troops. If you are enjoying this dive into history's smartest military strategists, drop a like and subscribe to join our growing community of history fans right now. The Shah panicked as his giant 400,000-man army was sliced into pieces by synchronized mathematical precision. To keep this vast expanding realm together, Genghis applied his love for efficiency to information speed. He created the YAM system, which was essentially an ancient high-speed internet network built with horses. Postal stations were built exactly 20 to 30 miles apart, which was the maximum distance a horse could gallop without collapsing. Riders wearing bells would sprint to the next station, leap onto a fresh horse, and speed away immediately without stopping. Official messages traveled over 120 miles a day across thousands of miles of rough territory. European kings took months to send a letter across one country, while Genghis knew about rebellions before the rebels even finished planning them. Conquering land is one thing, but keeping it stable requires economic logic. Genghis realized that high taxes caused expensive rebellions, while fair taxes created stable revenue. He instituted standardized tax rates, protected merchants on the Silk Road, and exempted doctors, teachers, and religious leaders from paying taxes altogether. He also created the first international passport system, a silver tablet that allowed traders to travel safely from Europe to Asia. By removing trade tariffs and crushing bandits with brutal mathematical certainty, trade flourished like never before. A single merchant carrying a golden plate could walk from Greece to China without being harmed, creating a booming global economy known as the Pax Mongolica. Think about the sheer scale of what this mathematical mindset accomplished. At its height, the Mongol Empire covered over 9 million square miles, stretching from the Sea of Japan all the way to Hungary. That is larger than the entire continent of Africa. And here is the most unbelievable part. There were fewer than 1 million ethnic Mongols in the world at the time, yet they successfully governed over 100 million subjects. They did not achieve this with unlimited manpower, but with incredible structural leverage. Every system, from military ranks to postal routes and trade taxes, was engineered for maximum output with minimum waste. Looking back at this wild chapter of history, there is a surprisingly practical lesson for our modern world. We often assume that raw strength, massive budgets, or loud intimidation are what win the day. But Genghis Khan proved that well-designed systems beat brute force every single time. A small, disciplined team with clear communication protocols, efficient logistics, and a commitment to organized data will consistently outperform a bloated competitor 10 times its size. Whether you are building a startup, managing a project, or organizing your personal daily life, success usually comes down to breaking big, messy problems into simple, repeatable, base 10 steps that anyone can follow. So the next time you struggle through a math class or try to organize a group chat with 5 friends, just remember that one guy organized an entire continent using middle school arithmetic and a few thousand horses. He transformed the world not by fighting harder, but by calculating smarter. If this wild story made you appreciate the secret power of numbers, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell for more real animated history. Which crazy historical mastermind should we cover in our next video? Drop your favorite pick in the comments below, and we will turn the best idea into our next episode.